Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this sixth session of today dedicated on wholesale. My name is Susie Menery. I'm a MEF consultant and advisor focusing on wholesale topics for the Mobile Ecosystem Forum. Before I introduce you to the person who will be moderating today's session with me, I would like to announce a couple of things. First, the MEF and myself will be kickstarting a working group on wholesale on March the 16th. The time is still to be defined at this stage, but we welcome any existing or future members to join us on this occasion. So please feel free, if you're interested, to contact us at MEF or myself at susie@mobileecosystemforum.com. And on that occasion, we would be very excited to hear from you on the topics you'd like to see addressed in this working group and that you see being relevant for the Mobile Ecosystem Forum when it comes to wholesale. So please feel free, if you have any items that are dear to you or you'd like to have us addressed in this working group, you have the chat here that you can use to submit your ideas. Or again, you can contact us at MEF, either myself, Susie, at mobileecosystemforum.com, or Susan or Dario, who will be forwarding your messages. And we will kickstart with this on March the 16th. Right, let me now introduce you to my colleague and friend who will be moderating this panel together with me today. She is quite well known in the international wholesale industry. She has a very, very deep knowledge of that environment. And thanks to her sparkling personality, she has managed to turn international wholesale telecoms into a glam and fab industry, I have to say. Her name is no secret to you. It is Isabelle Paradis. But before I exchanged with her, I'd like to share a video that she prepared especially for you today, her double trouble hotshot, as she calls it, which is highlighting a few mantras of the international wholesale industry. So the video, the magic of the video, if it could start, that would be fantastic.
Hello everyone and welcome to my double trouble hotshot. Today I'm very excited to welcome on my hot seat myself, Isabelle Paradis, President of Hot Telecom. Isabelle, welcome to the hot seat. Welcome on my hot seat also. So Isabelle, we've just come out of a very challenging year, to say the least, and now everyone is busy looking into their crystal ball to see what 2021 has in store for us. If we looked into your crystal ball, what would we see? Well, unsurprisingly, 2021 will bring more uncertainty, and we will have to build organizations that are ready for all eventualities, which means the need to embrace agility more than ever before. Then I think the hard reality will set in, and we will realize that generating new revenue will become more and more difficult for those who have not been able to diversify or at least start to reinvent themselves into anti-fragile, digital, and resilient companies. I know this sounds all well and good on paper, but what does it mean for carrier? That's the question I have for you. Well, I'm not sure why I always get the hard question, but anyway, I agree with you that relating to the need to constantly reinvent yourself, I have to constantly reinvent myself as well. But the question now is, how do we do that? How do we achieve that? And in my view, carriers should follow 6 key mantras. First, they should focus on simplicity, simplifying their business, and make sure it permeates throughout their business from top to bottom at all levels. Then the next priority should be automation, as zero-touch end-to-end automation will not only enable dramatic OPEX reduction, but maybe more importantly, it will also enable efficient interactions. Then, of course, the third mantra is clarification. It's not a nice to have anymore, but a must have. And not only in terms of connectivity, I think we have to start thinking above and beyond connectivity when it comes to cloudification, and look more and more at how we can use cloudification in terms of services such as voice and messaging. And the fourth and fifth mantras are 2 that you mentioned already: diversification and resilience. Diversification is key, not in terms of portfolio, not only in terms of portfolio, customers, technology, and suppliers, or maybe more importantly in terms of people. Building teams that are very diversified in terms of gender, age, culture, background, education, I think is crucial in the success of our industry going forward. And finally, last but not least, resilience, which is made possible by embracing redundancy, modularity, and adaptability. What do you think? Well, funnily enough, I agree. But you know, Isabel, I always like to have the last word. So to conclude this discussion, I would like to say that none of this is possible without innovation and partnership. No matter how hard we try to achieve these mantras, unless you become expert at partnering and innovating, you will most probably fail. Well, on these last words, Isabel, I would like to thank you for joining me on the hot seat. No, I would like to thank you for being on my hot seat. And that's goodbye from her, and that's goodbye from me.
Good. Two Isabels for the price of one. Thank you very much. And thank you, Isabel, for this introduction and for being with us today. And welcome to the MEF Connect Innovators panel.
Yes, and thank God number 2 is not with us today. she can be quite a pain in the neck. So you had the nice one today, Susie.
Fantastic.
So Susie, what do you think? You know me, I'm always the one interviewing people. It's rare that I like to be interviewed. So I'm just wondering, you know, I guess I shared a lot of concept during that 3 minutes. What do you think? Do you agree? Am I missing anything, you know, important in the mix of the mantras?
No, I think it's a very good insight into one of the core key elements that the wholesale industry will have to focus on in the future. And there's one thing that strikes me in your video, particularly, is the ability of organization to face, as you say, all eventualities. So there's vulnerability and unpredictable world in which we live, and to bring agility and flexibility in the way their modus operandi, so to speak. So for me, this starts with the ability to invigorate management innovation in those organizations. Or what I mean by this is the ability to transform their organizations, their ways of working and practices. So concretely, we're talking about flatter organizations. We're talking about simplified processes. We're talking about quicker decision-making processes. We're talking about leaders, as managers becoming leaders, to embark their staff into a transformation journey that they need to build with a lot of collaboration and communication. I know there's a lot of buzzwords in all this, but it really is down to making that organization as flexible and adaptable as possible. And this, for me, is the basis that sets the basis of other types of innovation to happen, be it product, R&D, and the likes. So,
yes, and agree. And often what I mention in my presentation or when I talk to my customers is all of that what you said. Nothing of this can happen unless the top, you know, it comes from the top. Everything starts with the top. If the leaders, you know, really believe in that, the fact that agility, or what I call anti-fragility, is super important, is the way to go. Resilience, transformation, encouraging innovation, partnership. If the leaders believe in it and put the tools in the hands of their people to achieve it, I think unless that happens, it won't happen. So I guess today, Susie, we have a lineup of leaders, huh? No pressure, guys, that are coming.
The LinkedIn post says we have a celebrity lined up. I feel almost privileged to be part of this panel and be moderating this panel with very experienced people here. So I'm very happy to welcome Anurag Agarwal, who is Director for Messaging Service at Tata Communications. Hello, Anurag. We have Ignacio Garcia Comin, Director of Digital and Mobile Solutions at Telefonica Business Solutions. Hello, Ignacio. We have Brandon Cleary, CEO at Celucis. Hello, Brandon. Hello. Frederic Schepen, CEO at MTN Global Connect.
Hello.
Hello, Frederic. And last but not least, Patrick Georges, Executive Vice President, Product and Business Development at iBasis.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Gentlemen, welcome to our panel. So we're here to talk about innovation, and innovation is a topic for wholesale. So the first and initial question that I would have for you is, do you really believe that innovation is possible in wholesale? And if so, what type of innovation and how to make it happen? Maybe Ignacio, you want to start?
For sure, Susie. Hello, everybody, and congratulations for the event, and in particular to Isabel for her own interview. It's really unforgettable. So coming back to your question, yes, innovation is not only possible. Innovation in wholesale, if you want to make the difference between wholesale and retail, which is a different topic, is happening and is happening every day from our side. And anytime we talk about these topics, we need to be and to remain very humble. I think it's important, let's say, to have a bit of distance regarding what we should apply. If you had asked me the same question 1 year ago before the COVID-19, probably I would have said a list of services that we have in the roadmap, and I'm sure that we will discuss that during the session today. But what we have learned this year is that, and it was, let's say, covered during the presentation, is that you need to understand the market. You need to understand what your customers are requiring. You need to understand how you are going to process all the information that we have to be able to deliver new services and new products, so we transform this creativity into revenues. For us, let's say the key thing is timing. So what we are going to do to have what in what moment for what customers, and how do we approach and how do we make it happen? I would say we have two different approaches. The first one is, and you said it, and is perfect for this forum, is about partners. So we need always to keep in mind, to bear in mind, what do we have around us. So it's not just a matter of agility and flexibility, it's a matter of risk management. It's not, and timing, it's not, you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time you do it. So partnership is capital. And the second thing is, and in this regard, I'm going to, of course, represent the Telefonica Global Solution. Your team is essential. So you need to look outside your box and inside your company to rely on the capabilities, in the people, in the talent you have, and in the leadership. So mixing all those elements, external and internal, I think we really can deliver innovation every day.
Isabel, we can't hear you.
Sorry, guys. So I was saying, Ignacio, I think it's a good introduction, and I think you set the scene. But you know me, I like to have the real concrete example. Anyone on the panel that can give you, example of innovation that they delivered in the last 12 months in terms of services, business model, the way they're interacting with their customers, with their partners, with their suppliers, any real concrete innovation to convince me that innovation is possible in wholesale, because I'm not 100% convinced yet. So Susie is the nice, girl on the panel. I'm the one that is not so easy to convince. So who wants to go next?
All right, I'll take a moment out here. And what I feel is that I was on another panel and we were talking about fraud. If you ask me, the most innovative people in our entire ecosystem are the fraudsters. And I feel it's hats off to them, because they're the ones who are always a step ahead in finding how to circumvent whatever is the ecosystem which is in place by us players out there in the market. If I can take the Indian example, we've seen a lot that's happened in the recent past. We've been innovative enough that we have launched a blockchain mechanism to counter fraud. We call it the distributed ledger technology. And that's something which a regulator actually is bringing into the country, which means all operators have to abide by it. So it's not just an Airtel or a Jio, it's everybody who has to toe the line eventually. And what's very interesting is that thanks to this technology, we see the enterprises benefiting from ensuring that fraudulent communication doesn't reach their end customers. We see the end subscribers benefiting that they have a greater pulse on where they are giving a consent to receive the A2P traffic. And we have the intermediaries who are also clear that the traffic that they are carrying is not fraudulent in nature, because these often carry large amounts of penalty. The problem of fraud in India, for example, fraud messaging and smishing, as it's called, SMS phishing, has been so rampant that Netflix actually has a series where there are people sitting under a tree in the remotest parts of Indian villages being able to impersonate as some of the largest e-commerce wallets in India. and are able to pull out millions of rupees out of bank accounts just by sending an SMS with a fishy link in it. So if you ask me, I think India has been doing a great job of bringing in this blockchain technology, and we are hoping that as it gets successful, it's a very ambitious venture that we've all embarked on. And I hope that as it comes about, more countries start adopting these technologies, which can help block a lot of fraudulent SMS traffic, at least to start with.
Okay.
I hope that convinces you, Isabel.
Okay. Not sure. Yes, blockchain, I like that buzzword, but I don't know, Frédéric, you look a bit relaxed in that corner with you. I think you need to be what do you have to say? Convince me that innovation is possible.
I was trying to hide in my little corner and avoiding dodging questions. But I think, where do we go? Where's the money? And what is innovation? We've been quite fortunate at MTN Global Connect. We started around 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years now. And we could create a new wholesale carrier or operator from scratch within MTN. And you have to understand, MTN is operating in around 22 very complex environments, countries, mainly in Africa and in the Middle East. And we could start from scratch in building new innovative solution for our own mother companies to start with, but also making sure that we interact with everybody around us in an efficient, automated, and straightforward way, which is not an easy task to build from scratch. We succeeded actually with the team, or the team did a fantastic job in building up the latest state-of-the-art platforms. And that's a good thing about being a late entrant in the wholesale world, is that you can actually cherry pick and really look into where you can choose the best breed of suppliers, of technology, and implement it in a brand new environment. So, I mean, we leapfrog quite a bit in an efficient way. With a very small team, we launched a brand new value-added services roaming hub, where we connected 273 million subscribers business onto that, and then the interaction with all the big players around the table here in order to make it work. The same as with the messaging solution, the same as with a voice interconnect solution. And last but not least is that we really have a network as a service set up now, which is really monetizing and building everything which is around, which is connectivity from the core basis, which is the fiber in the ground even, where we really leapfrogged and start building out, monetizing that aspect also, which we have in Africa and the Middle East. Now, everybody is talking about cloudification, but everything at the end comes back to a submarine cable or fiber in the ground, because 90 or 99% of everything will still go through that. And I think from an innovation perspective, we really looked into a digitization program, which really end-to-end our customers, our suppliers are able to have access to a platform where they would be able to connect, order, and transact on that base. And I think it's quite a lot of new ways in order to make that happen, especially in Africa, which is perhaps the last continent where people usually need to leapfrog in order to catch up compared to the rest of certain other continents in the world. So, I mean, I'm quite proud of that. Now, again, I know your question, Isabel, is also talking about various other aspects to it and how to monetize it.
No, you're going too fast now, Frédéric. Now you have to keep under control. I see that Patrick is really wanting to jump in. Patrick, you only have 2 minutes until our next question. I don't know. And Brendan, you've survived it, but maybe we can bring you in. So Patrick, 2 minutes. Are you able to answer that question in 2 minutes?
So yes, always difficult to pass after a legend like Frédéric with his 200 years of experience, but okay. No, I guess it's innovation is very important, but I guess it's a combination of different parameters. You need to innovate not for the sake of innovate. You need to innovate to add a value to your customer. And we know that it's a people business, and as Fred explained, the dynamic in different regions are different, and you don't have the same problem in different regions. And that's why I guess it's very important to come with the right level of innovation. And we are here to serve the operator. So typically, let them concentrate on their core duties, and then maybe some less sexy stuff, or some more complex stuff like security, hacking of a profile and all of that. This is where, together with technology partner like Brendan and Celucis, because they are the one who innovate, we are the one who bring the service to the market. But you need a big brain to do that. But it's a people business, having a local knowledge, a local deep understanding of the need of the customer. I guess this is the base to monetize innovation.
Okay, we're going to get to the monetization, Susie. I don't know. I would like maybe quickly Brendan to jump in. I mean, you have a vendor more, type of view. I hope you're thinking differently to the other guys. What's your view? First of all, is innovation possible in wholesale, and how should it be happening?
Yeah, I think it's very possible, and I certainly echo some of the sentiments from the other panel members that it really comes from collaboration. I think, my inclusion on this panel kind of goes to show the MEF as a whole, taking all the industry players into these conversations to make sure that everybody has their voice and everybody's working together. From my perspective, if we're looking at innovation, it's about adding value, to all players, including the very, very end customers who are the ultimate recipients of this service. We've touched a lot about, let's say, fraud and security and some of the initiatives that are happening in some parts of the world. I think it's a very innovative solution using the blockchain in India that Anurag mentioned. I know in the US we have the launch of Stir Shaken to reduce the amount of fraudulent activity that we're seeing. But overall, from a visionary perspective, we really need to look at the entire ecosystem and make sure that it is secure and trusted. And I think both of those factors are really key moving forward. We can see from various different things that are happening in the industry that there is a real consumer demand, there's real customer demand for privacy, for security. We can see, from the recent, let's say, WhatsApp incident about sharing data with Facebook, we saw a huge exodus of people downloading Telegram and Signal. So we know that's what the market wants. I think a very interesting initiative from, I believe it was from Turkcell. They launched their own OTT application called BIP, and that saw a huge uptake in registrations after what happened with WhatsApp. And I think that's a really nice example of the telco industry, taking advantage and, delivering on a need for the end customers, which is a secure and trusted communication. So it's not necessarily just about the technology that you provide, it's also about the company itself. So, I mean, you've got big players, private companies that are trying to deliver services, that are trying to, let's say, extract information from subscribers that they may not want. But the telcos in country can be perceived and positioned as trusted players to deliver on a trusted communication channel moving forward. And I think that's really key. I think that's the opportunity, because the telcos really have a really envious position, which is ubiquitous communication to the end consumer, which private companies would kill for to be in that position. So I think if we focus on secure, clean communication, reducing fraud, reducing robocalls, reducing smishing, and having SMS as a trusted medium, voice as a trusted medium, I believe that's where the innovation is going to happen.
Okay.
So we hear a lot about, we've heard a lot about innovative ways, be it fraud, I heard fraud, I heard blockchain, I heard network as a service, digitization, I heard collaboration and trust in an ecosystem, etc., which there's a lot in there. But for you, if we had to move one step further and turn all these innovations into, at the end of the day, that's why we're here for, into cash. Where is the priority? Are we talking revenues? And if so, where and from what? Are we talking efficiencies? And if so, where and from what? What's your view? Where should the focus be on? Maybe Frédéric?
Yes, thanks, Susie. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do in order to enhance that. Of course, it comes always from a customer-centric perspective. And when you look into innovation, I mean, you always heard the buzzwords, i.e. blockchain, etc. But we still have a long way in order to really get all the money out of that when everybody jumps onto the bandwagon, then we can actually optimize and make more money out of it. What we do see is from a wholesale perspective, I think we need to go into a bit more of a partnership mentality, because there's so many bright ideas, so many bright solutions. And as a traditional wholesale operator, I think it's easier than to bolt on to some good solution onto some partnership setup, which you can really start scaling it up and driving new revenue streams, not only for your own subscribers, for your partners, but also for everybody who's actually back onto your ecosystem, onto your hub, into the ways that you can build on. And it always, I mean, from a wholesale perspective, we always went from the traditional bread and butter, which is still making, I would say, almost 80 to 90% of all the money. You still need to know to partner up with very savvy, intelligent companies who really bring up new ideas in order to go into the next area where you can really start making additional money for the future. A clear example, I think we were alluding to it also already previously. I mean, when you go into the OTT world, we've seen something also quite extraordinarily in Africa, where our mobile networks created actually also an OTT, which is called Ayoba. And Ayoba is actually the WeChat of Africa, where you got about 16 different languages, where everybody is able to communicate with each other, to message with each other, but also to do various basic, let's say, traditional transactions like SMS or calling. We're evolving really in order to bring that up into a new way where you can build on music themes into it. You also can then bring in the fintech, the inclusions of transactional money transfer, all the new bolt-ons which are part of that. And as a wholesaler, it's quite interesting to see how that can also evolve and have its own world in that continent. So it's quite interesting to see, by partnering with the right let's say companies, vendors in the world, it can be always an interesting setup in order to be well established for the future.
I agree. I think the wholesalers are, they're the trusted enabler in the middle of the whole ecosystem, and there's a lot they can do to monetize that very special place that they have. They have the relationships, they have the experience, they have the solutions more and more hopefully to create new types of interactions between the different players and new types of services. But so who's my next victim? I see Ignacio is staying very quiet. Anything exciting from the Telefonica front that you can share with us? Where is the money? I want to know, where is the money in innovation in wholesale?
Show me the money. Show me the money. I like very much all the, let's say, comments that the colleagues have made. And I think it was Patrick who said about bringing value. I think in the ecosystem, you need to bring value. And from our side, what we have seen is not only innovation as part of creativity about issuing something new in the market, which is always good, but as well to understand where are our services and what we can bring into the market to generate value. So we are focusing for 2021 in 4 areas. The first one is about roaming outsourcing. The second one is about cloud. Not only, let's say, for all the deployments, we see that people are requesting the hyperscalers, but as well they want to retain part of the data center. So as Telefonica Global Solutions, relying on our international network, we have issued a very good virtual data center service, international one, with good fiscal, I would say, incentives, which is something which is very welcome. IoT definitely is everywhere and is a partner business. So we are doing a lot of business in the US and in Europe through partners, both providing the platform and generating global connectivity and local connectivity. And last but not least, and we have heard from Tata, let's say, a lot of comments regarding this is about messaging. So we are investing big time in messaging. Is something that for the last 2 years we have seen that can change the world. A matter of, say, putting focus, people, and choosing the right partners.
Okay. And some noise I heard around security. Is security a new cash cow? Is it maybe for wholesalers? Security and data, maybe. Is data the new oil? I mean, we hear that a lot. Is that something that wholesalers can use to generate more money to replace some of the lost revenue going forward? Who wants to take that? Patrick?
Yes. I guess it's about, to rebound on your question, it's important about what we want to do as a show me the money. We all know that in this industry you have different type of players. Some of them are here to make money at any cost and somehow finding cheaper way, using some bypass and all of that. I mean, we all know some of our peers doing that. And then you have the other operator who are here to defend their customer, to defend the operator, and here for the long run. And that's why sometimes you do something which is not producing money overnight. For example, if you fight for the inbound fraud toward an operator or to the outbound fraud, you lose some traffic. It's short-term view. But this is the way that you create the relationship. You show that we are here sharing the same value with your customer, with your mobile operator customer, your service provider. And from there, you can, I can say, build some services. Security is typically a good example. Security become more and more important. Why? Because there are more and more attacks. You have more and more regulation and a liability from operator to protect the data of their operator, of their customer. We also know that the signaling network was built in a period where it was a kind of safe garden, walled garden, where it was only operator and good guys around it. And we know that some people today are abusing this signaling to get some information that they may resell about stuff there. And that's why security is key to avoid big disaster when you have an attack which compromise all the customer data, compromise the service you have with the denial of service. And this is very technical, and security is one buzzword, but there are plenty of instances and plenty of domain where you need to put the security. And again, I guess as a wholesaler, we have a strong role to play over there, because again, we have a global DNA, so we see what's happening in different sides of the part of the world. We can exchange good practices with our customer, but also amongst ourselves, amongst our community. And typically the mobile ecosystem forum is a great place to do that. And then from that, to make sure that to quote Anu, I guess it was Brendan or Fred, I don't remember, but who said that the fraudsters are the most innovative. No, Anurag, the fraudsters are the most innovative people. That's help us, to have a faster answer by sharing all the data, by relying on strong partner and sharing experience from different sides of the world.
Okay, so Brendan, I'm giving you a gift there. Is there money to be made in security? I hope you're going to say yes, but surprise me.
Well, clearly, we'd be doing something very wrong if that wasn't the case. Yeah, I think there's some very interesting points there raised by the panel, and particularly the last one, which is the motivations behind the fraud that's being committed. I mean, if we look at the fraudster, their entire business, their entire life, their entire business model is committing fraud. Whereas if we look at the wholesale carriers, the MNOs, each of those, I mean, it's a serious impact. I mean, IRSF alone, I think globally was 18 billion in 2020. But we can see that perhaps they don't have a pure focus on literally just stopping fraud and nothing else. So we can see the motivations are a little bit different. And, how do we even that playing field a little bit? Part of the answer will be technology. We'll come up with kind of innovative solutions that are kind of monitoring what's happening and be able to identify it as quickly as possible, and to give that visibility. I think that's really, really important. If you can't see what's happening, you can't do anything to address it. And another way in which the industry is shifting now, as we mentioned before, is the centralization or the cloudification of everything. The way we're seeing this is with MNO groups pulling together their signaling, or carriers offering more and more services, which is a fantastic start to addressing the problem. Where the problem is, am I being attacked? Where am I being attacked from? What kind of things are happening? And what is the impact of those attacks, I think, is very important also. I mean, we're talking about end subscribers on one hand, but we're seeing another industry shift of an explosion of IoT devices. And the outcome of these attacks can be very, very different and can have very, very different implications. So, I mean, if you are doing a tracking-based attack to find out where an individual is, that is obviously a bad thing we want to stop. But if you're doing the same thing on a sensitive IoT device, or that's a shipping container or a cash in transit van, we see that the attack type changes dramatically, and the monetary impact of that is just increased in severity. So I think across the board, security is hugely important. How we see that is the starting point. How we address it, that's where the collaboration and the partnership comes in. It's from all players.
That's a very interesting topic, and it's an easy way to move on to the next question. I heard a lot about partnerships in all you've been saying, and it's great because the MEF is all about also ecosystem and how we make that partnership work in an ecosystem. I'd like to ask you, where are you in terms of really partnership, bringing partnership into your own reality, business reality, and how does that partnership help you monetize anything you bring forward, particularly in terms of innovating further, in terms of innovation? I don't know who wants to take that, Anurag or Brendan, you've just spoken, or Ignacio. Yes, thank you.
Brendan, please.
Brendan, you're the star.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, in terms of partnerships, I think finding the real world problems really happens when you engage with customers. It's not a case where you engage with a customer and say, I have this solution. Can we put it in your infrastructure, please? Here's the known business problem, and here's the outcome you're going to get. I mean, that might be a nice starting point, but really for innovation, it's about the partnership and saying, on an ongoing basis, what are you seeing? What are your problems on a day-to-day basis? And working with them to say, okay, well, these are the kind of solutions that we can come up with. One recent concrete example of that is a new solution that we're launching, which is a zero trust SMS. And the whole concept behind this solution is identifying URLs that can exist within the message content itself. And again, another partnership that's supporting us in this endeavor is a company called Metacert. And they are the kind of the intelligence behind determining whether a URL is malicious or not. Does it contain a link to an app store that contains Trojans or viruses or anything like that? And this is real value that you can add to a customer based on collaboration that we had with another industry player, saying, look, this is a real problem we're having. And it's actually directly impacting the money that we're making via A2P SMS. The problem that they were facing, and the whole world is facing, that a lot of A2P SMS it revolves around two-factor authentication. But if that channel is not considered secure anymore, they are looking for alternative means. Whether that alternative means will be using an authenticator app on their phone, or whether that be this new approach of using flash calls. So sending a call that's not answered, but using part of the CLI to authenticate a particular application in question. So it is really an ever-moving industry, and we have to move as fast as the fraudsters will. And I think one of the points just to kind of leave on this is that all of these new technologies that we're bringing to fight fraudsters are also in the hands of the fraudsters. So if we're looking at kind of AI, if we're looking at new fancy ways to detect fraud, they're using the exact same tools to promote fraud. It's a never-ending arms race, and it simply requires that collaboration, that ongoing open-mindedness, and working with our customers to find a solution that will benefit the industry as a whole.
Okay, so Anurag, you've been lucky. I haven't poked you too much, but I guess maybe, I know we're running out of time, I think, Susie, but maybe Anurag, what do you think on messaging? I mean, what about partnership, innovation, messaging? Everyone's jumped on the messaging bandwagon. What's the result?
So I would quote your mantra out here. I think it was number 4 or 5, which spoke about diversity. And I think today we see a lot of diversification in the messaging communication channels which are coming about. And that's why, there were some things which Brendan touched upon right now. And I think Telefonica also mentioned about some initiatives. But I think as SMS becomes more and more stifled in its ability to offer a rich form of communication, we see the growth of conversational commerce. And that's coming about through new channels such as the WhatsApp business messaging or the RCS business messaging channels. These are new forms of partnerships which operators are getting into with these new channel partners. And this is becoming new revenue streams. How much is the show me the money in this? That's still something the jury is still out, because these are very new channels and we are working on ways of figuring out the right monetization schemes. But I feel that with these diversifications and good securitization around some of these channels, like Brendan mentioned, we should be seeing new partnerships with operators, with the wholesale providers, and that should help in bringing about new streams of monetizations for operators, aggregators, carriers, and give enterprises much more flexibility and richness in their communication with their end customers. So that's an innovation coming up in the messaging space.
Okay, cool. So, Susie, how are we doing? Do we have to conclude now, sadly?
We have 5 minutes left, I think. But maybe we can do two things. One is to ask for one final word to each of our very experienced panelists on what, in one word, wholesale innovation monetization for you. What is it? I can see Anurag to start with. In one word.
I think partnerships, which was mentioned, is what's important, because no one player can now win the entire market. So I think partnerships is what will be driving future innovation monetization stream. So that's what I see coming.
Ignacio?
Well, we've talked during today a lot about technology, and I'm really a fan about people. And I think it's relationship with your employees, with your colleagues, with your partners that at the end make the difference. So it's not just a matter of team building or leadership, which absolutely are mandatory for innovation is. I think the soft side of the technology is something that we need to have very present. And when we have done good businesses, it's because we establish good relationships.
Thank you. Frédéric?
Yeah, I think, not to rehash what the rest of the panel is saying, but the most important thing, and I think I've worked with most of you here around, either in the same company or as a customer or as a supplier, I think besides having great partnership, I think the uniqueness is really the inside job of people who really understands well what the customer needs and wants. And I think if you nail that well, any wholesaler will always be super successful. And I think that's what makes a difference between somebody who's doing a mediocre job or an excellent job. And I think at the end, it's the people, it's a team you have around you who's building really the right proposition, the right partnerships with an intelligent way of and an efficient way of doing the right things at the right time.
Very insightful. Patrick?
So always, you speak after those.
Sorry about that.
People.
You don't have to say anything, Patrick.
Okay, so vote for Fred. No. So no, I guess it's of course people, of course partnership, and I guess I would put that as a combination to say agility and flexibility. Be able to find the right partner, to adapt yourself, to have your people to adapt to the customer, to adapt on the culture. So piggybacking on the answer of my prestigious colleague, I would just add agility on top of it.
Thank you, Patrick. Brendan?
Always tough to go last when all the good words are taken. I think what I can add perhaps is inclusion. So innovation can really come from anywhere, as we mentioned before. It might be internal into your organization. It might be someone who's in your industry, or it might be someone who's totally outside of your industry. So including everybody in different conversations and being open-minded enough to assess every suggestion that comes your way, and to kind of investigate and explore about how we can add in new value. We see the industry is changing quite a lot, and a lot of enterprise are now wanting to have direct connectivity for their devices and things like that. So if we keep the traditional mindset of how revenue was generated in the past, I think that might be to our disadvantage. So the inclusivity of including everybody in the conversation to see where these ideas can come from.
Yeah, very much agree. Isabelle?
Okay, guys, it was supposed to be one word, but anyway. So I'm going to cheat too, as you all cheated. I'm going to say be bold and be passionate and try things that you think cannot be done. Unless you try things, you put yourself out there, you will never push the boundaries and innovate. That's the basic of innovation. Because often I say today's impossibility is tomorrow's normality. So get out there, try crazy things, fail, succeed, just do things, do cool things and have fun.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, all of you. I think we are right on time. I haven't seen it. Is there any questions on the
No, they're too scared, Susie.
Two women is scary.
By the way,
they're not used to seeing this.
Yeah.
So thank you very much to all of you. It was an honor to have you all on this panel. It was I very much enjoyed the conversation, very insightful comments made by all of you. See you all on March the 16th. And as we said, please feel free to reach out to us to give us your insights as to what you'd like us to talk about or to work on in that working group on Wholesale. See you soon, and thank you so much to all of you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.
See you soon.
Bye.